everyone's got a host of opinions on Lane Kiffin and LSU coming into the 2026 college football season, and rightfully so. Lane Kiffin's a very polarizing person. LSU is a large institution, and the combination of those is click central for basically anybody that talks about him. It's not the only reason that we're talking about him this first episode, but it definitely is a big reason. And I think that Lane Kiffin's getting ready to build LSU into something special. And I don't just say that because I grew up an LSU fan and am still an LSU fan. Spoiler alert for later. That's going to come later in the show. But I say that for a few reasons that I'll make sure to detail here for you. The first is that he's already recruiting really well. And he's also hit the portal really well this past cycle. With players like Jordan Seaton coming through, you've got Ty Benefield that came through from Boise State. He's got Sam Levitt. I didn't even remember that one. He's got players that are coming through that are going to make a real impact this year and filled some of the gaps that were had with specifically the O-line, some safeties leaving, Mansour Delane being a corner last year leaving, so we're trying to shore up the defensive secondary. And obviously he needed a quarterback. He's doing it at a very, very high clip right now. He's portaling well, and then his recruiting, they weren't looking too great as of a couple weeks ago for the 2027 class, and just recently they had a bunch of 4- and 5-star commits that had committed for that class, so things are really looking up there. And the gist of LSU is that it almost recruits itself, so it's not like he needed a ton of help, because LSU is the only big school in the state of Louisiana which produces a lot of high school football talent and a lot of future NFL talent as well. So he was going to get a lot of players anyway, but he also added Ed Orgeron to his staff, who you put Ed Orgeron at LSU and you put him in a recruiting role, he's almost unstoppable. He does an amazing job recruiting wherever he's at, but he loves LSU more than anything, I think, in this world. And so he does a great job of recruiting LSU. Lane Kiffin's obviously recruiting it well as well. So I don't think he's going to have any problem with getting talent to LSU at all. Furthermore, beyond that, this coming year, we're going to have the Lane Kiffin offense paired with the Blake Baker defense. And the Blake Baker defense has a lot of returning production, or a lot of key players that are going to be returning to that defense, which he moved from the 100-and-something place in scoring defense 2 years ago all the way up into the 30s last year. So we're going to see how much better that defense is going to get, but we know Lane Kiffin can help coach offense, can build offenses. We got Charlie Weiss Jr. calling the plays. We know that's going to go well. It went well last year with Trinidad Chambliss. I haven't really seen a college football season where Lane Kiffin has not been able to put a successful offense on the field. So I think the combination for this year is going to be something special. You can say in years to come, Blake Baker's probably not going to be there. I agree, he's probably not going to be there. At that point, it'll be how well can you backfill the defensive position, or the defensive coordinator position. I think your defensive position players are always just going to be good. Louisiana produces great defensive players. But how well are you going to backfill that coordinator? That's a talk or conversation for another year, for another time. Thirdly, and this is something that Brian Kelly had a real problem getting behind him, and he was the first coach that really would have had to deal with it, is Lane Kiffin's got the boosters and he's got the donors behind him seemingly to a full clip. Brian Kelly, think what you want about him. I think he was a good coach for the time. He just wasn't right for the Tigers, obviously. And a lot of it seemed to be that he did not want to fully embrace and accept Louisiana. He would go out there, he would talk to the boosters, he would talk to the people, but he wasn't all into the shaking hands and kissing babies. And because of it, people were not all into giving him their money and trusting him fully with the program. Lane Kiffin comes in, he fully embraces Louisiana, the culture, the state, the people, the high schools, all of it. He's made great connections, and because of it, the money has followed. And you can see that with the current staff that they have, or I guess the current talent that they have, the $40 million roster, allegedly, that they have, or they're going to be putting on the field this year. You can see that with how much money they spent to get Brian Kelly out of there, to get his entire staff out of there, to get Lane Kiffin in there. LSU's got plenty of money. The state of Louisiana has plenty of money that's flowing around with all of the oil money they have there and everything else. All it takes is the right guy to come in make a few key decisions, position themselves in the right way, and all of a sudden, year after year, you have somebody who can be competing for playoff and national championship appearances. Now, here's one of the big things that I've heard and seen online, and I'm sure you might be saying it right now, especially if you're not an LSU fan or if you do not like Lane Kiffin, and that's that this might work out for the next couple of years, but Lane Kiffin's just going to end up leaving you. And first off, that might be true. I'm not gonna hold that, like, that might be a real thing. Lane Kiffin maybe stay here for a few years, an NFL position. Maybe Kalen DeBoer doesn't do well. He gets fired. The Alabama position comes open. He may pack up his bags and jet all over again. He's got a history of doing that elsewhere. He's done it at Tennessee to go to USC. He's done it at he did it at Ole Miss, obviously, to come to LSU. He did it at FAU to go to Ole Miss. I think more people were open to that happening just because it is such a large step up in job. So I fully understand that can absolutely happen. Here's what I would say in my counter argument to that. When taking this position, he really leaned on his mentors, and specifically his mentor, Nick Saban. Nick Saban, who essentially revived his career from the ashes, helped to build him into the coach that he is, establish him, and then send him on his way over to FAU. He leaned a lot on Nick Saban on making this decision and figuring out whether he wanted to stay at Ole Miss or come to LSU. Now, I say that because I think Nick Saban was a very big piece in getting him to LSU and telling him LSU is a better job. Nick Saban has experience at LSU. If you didn't know, he coached LSU. He essentially revived LSU from the ashes as well. A couple of things revived by Nick Saban there. And what I really believe is that Nick Saban told him LSU is going to be a better job. It's got the fertile recruiting ground. It's got the people behind it. And I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was, Nick Saban did an interview or a speech where he had talked about one of the greatest mistakes or the greatest regrets he had in his career. And he mentioned at the time that it was leaving LSU to go to the NFL. And I think that stuck with him. I think that's why he's going to push Lane Kiffin to stay. But that also may not be the case. Like, Lane's going to Lane. He's going to do what he's going to do. So, I think if Lane decides to stay at LSU for a long time, that he can really build them into something special. I don't know if dynasty is the word to go for. I don't know if there's going to be any more dynasties in college football with the way that we're structured right now. Again, legislation coming down the pipe that may help with those kind of things being able to be built again by limiting transfers and giving players more time to play, limiting how many times they can redshirt or medically, all that stuff. But I think Lane's going to be able to build LSU into something real, probably in the near future, in the next couple of years.